I'm speaking to Basil from Super Raelene Brothers. I should just say Super Raelene Brothers. There is no "the" in it.
How are you, Kat?
I'm good, thank you. And yourself?
Fantastic.
That's
and
good.
Really looking forward to coming down from the Northern Territory down to Ballarat.
To cool down a bit, I bet.
Not up here, it hasn't, but it will.
No, when you get to Ballarat, it will.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because you're in Darwin, aren't you?
Yeah, and I reckon it would be about 33 degrees today.
Damn. I remember those days when it gets that warm. Well, we've had some days that are like 10 degrees, so good luck to you.
Well, it's good to have a bit of a temperature change, which you don't get here. It's kind of 33 degrees every day of the year, basically, in the tropics.
Yeah. So have you always been from Darwin?
No, I grew up in Adelaide, but about probably 17 years ago moved to the Northern Territory.
Right.
And spent 15 years in Alice Springs and moved up the track to Darwin about just only 2 years ago.
Right. And so how long have Super Raelene Brothers been going then?
We've been sort of making music really since we were in primary school, because we are actually true blood brothers.
All right.
But the Super Raelene Brothers as an outfit, we began in Alice Springs probably the best part of 10 years ago. And we've performed all over the desert in Central Australia and Darwin. But we have played in Ballarat in a former incarnation of ourselves in an outfit called Auntie Raelene, which used to be based in Adelaide. And we used to trip over to Melbourne and stop in Ballarat and play gigs at the Bridge Mall Inn in the early 90s.
Oh, right. So then with this trip, I'm finding a lot of information about the fact you're coming to Ballarat, but surely you're not making the trip down here just for Ballarat. You must be doing other shows.
We're doing a show in Ballarat, and we're doing a show at a big open Sunday afternoon party in Castlemaine.
All right.
And that's it. And we both need to travel to Victoria for some work stuff, and we thought we'd take the chance to launch the album in country Victoria, because we both have really fond memories of our time in playing in Ballarat with our old band, Auntie Raelene. And so we thought it'd be a great time to catch up with people from that time and just to enjoy being out of the city.
Well, that sort of answers one of my other questions, like how you said you were true blood brothers. So it's basically only a two-piece band.
Two-piece outfit, yep.
Even when you're on stage and that, do you get other people up there or?
No, it's normally just the two of us. So it's a really stripped back, raw acoustic sound. For two people, it kind of sounds like a symphony on a good night.
I was going to say, listening to your tracks and that, which I have, played 3 of your older tracks on my show a few times, I never would have guessed you were only a two-piece, and it doesn't actually say that on your Facebook or anything. So
that's right, yeah. So it's a two-piece most of the time.
Yeah, and so one of you plays violin.
Yeah, that's Derek Raelene. He's the violinist, and I play drum and acoustic guitar, and that's about it. But
not at the same time.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah. I work a kick drum,
right?
That's a sort of big backbeat through just about every track, and we also bring a kind of suitcase of percussion with us sometimes, which we share with the pub room, and so we kind of expand the band.
All right, so you get audience participation.
Yeah, we like to sort of spread the tambourines and the shakers around the place, and people can sort of join the band from wherever they are in the room and how they're getting into it, yeah.
It sounds like a lot of fun.
Can be really good fun.
Do you do that in the studio sometimes when you're recording, get the people around the studio to jump in with a bit of percussion?
Well, sometimes this album was recorded in Central Australia, in Alice Springs actually, at a rammed earth studio called Red House. And it was really hot. It was the middle of January. And when you have to record, you have to turn the aircon off and all the fans. And it was 40 degrees day after day. The violin work with the slippery fretboard that we could get anything out of it at all. But the producer, Bill Davis, is a great musician too, and we used to get him to help out with some percussion. So you're right, yeah.
Bit of fun in the studio.
Yeah.
Well, you said like you came from the band Auntie Raelene, and you are now Super Raelene Brothers. So who is Raelene?
Well, there's a long tail to that. You'd have to go back into the Auntie Raelene files to track that one down now, I think. She's kind of a mythical figure that we enjoyed creating stories about in our old band. And basically, I think the story went, she was a simple farmer woman and enjoyed ploughing her fields year in, year out by hand until her bastard nephew nicked off with her plough and melted it down and turned it to a suit of armour. And she ends up destitute on the streets of Glenrowan and is forced by her poverty to move to Adelaide and learn guitar and form a band. And that's what happened. And that story becomes Auntie Raelene, the band.
Right.
And
well, I am looking, you said you play acoustic guitar and drums. You're also doing the singing, because I'm looking at your video for Nuclear Cop here.
yeah.
Nuclear Cop is, of course, a cover of a Red Gum song, and I know Red Gum were originally from Adelaide. So did you grow up with those guys? Do you know them?
We grew up with their music, and we found it, I mean, we grew up, there were a few big Adelaide bands, Cold Chisel and The Angels, with that rock end of things, but then there were bands like Red Gum who were sort of political folk rock, and they were kind of an example for being able to create song that was prepared to, discuss directly issues that were part of people's local social experience. And Red Gum were a brilliant example of that, and we were always quite inspired by that too. So when we came into the desert and discovered that they want to build a uranium mine on the outskirts of Alice Springs, then we became involved in the campaign against the Angela Pamela mine and thought, what better song to re-record than Nuclear Cop, that Red Gum gorgeous gem. Yeah,
because it says your debut single, but is that the debut off of this album that's called W-I-Y-A?
We Are Angela Pamela. That was a track we wrote for the We Are Angela Pamela campaign, and we is a Western Desert Pitjantjatjara word, which just means no. And that song, We Are Angela Pamela, was a collaboration with elders from Little Sisters Town Camp in Alice Springs. And its great big chorus, catchy chorus, is in not only Pitjantjatjara, but also in Aranda and Walpuri. So that was a sort of campaign track to partner with bringing the concerns to the Indigenous communities living on the outskirts of Alice Springs.
Right. And as we've discussed, you're launching your album, which is called Revolution Day. Is that actually available yet?
Yeah, that will be available. It's not officially released yet, but Ballarat will be the first town in Australia where we'll be launching it.
Awesome.
And we've just got the single back from the factory, and we're trying to build the website, and it'll be ready to go. But we'll definitely have it on the ground in Ballarat next week at the Eastern Station with Mick Dogg's Boneyard.
Did you ever actually get to see Red Gum live, or?
No, we never saw them live, but we sent a copy of our cover of Nuclear Cop to John Schumann, and he said it brought a tear to his eye. So I thought that was a good accolade to receive. That was a good endorsement,
right? Yeah,
from John Schumann for that.
Your style of music is quite similar, and like you said, when you moved to the Northern Territory, the uranium mine at Angela Pamela made you think about that sort of music. So is that something that you've gone towards now, that you're looking more at having a message in your music, or is that something you've always touched on?
Well, that's something we've always touched on since the days of Auntie Raelene. And, when we were starting to write material for Auntie Raelene, not only was it sort of on the back of the Red Gum time, but that was the beginning of the rise of outfits in the US like Public Enemy, which were rap outfits, but we were all listening to their politics and being inspired by their preparedness to use music as a vehicle, as a media, to engage some of the big social issues of the day. And that was an inspiration to us in Auntie Raelene. So a lot of the old Auntie Raelene stuff, you can get it on iTunes still, I think. We had an album called New Dork Nation, but most of those tracks are are full of social commentary, and some of them have stood the test of time.
Well, you've done pretty good on Triple J Unearthed, but do you find it being a band with a political message and that now that it is more difficult to get airplay than especially like back in the 80s and 90s when you had all the Midnight Oil and people like that out there?
Yeah, I think any people in the original music in the country, it's hard to break into it. It's something that we haven't done. We had a bit of attention for the We Are Angela Pamela song. That went number one on Triple J Unearthed. But that didn't mean that it gained any kind of national rotation at all. In fact, it didn't. It got good rotation on community radio. And I think the community radio is the vehicle that enables songs engaging the social issues of the places where we live to get an airplay. But Triple J really are a kind of slicker, smoother, less offensive kind of animal.
Nowadays,
Yeah.
Which now community radio might need bands like you because the government are now threatening community radio in Australia.
Well, I think that's just absolutely that's just so short-sighted because the community radio stations don't only play that. They're not just spaces for the media of music. They also give life to small communities. They act like a hub. They're a place where people can learn skill sets that they would otherwise never have the chance to get into. So the fact that the government might say, well, the audience or the demographic is not big and so it's not, we don't see it as good value bang for the buck. I think they're missing the extra roles that community radio plays for communities.
Yeah, particularly for bands that are trying to get heard and make a start. Like most of them in this country for a long time have started on community radio.
Absolutely. You're totally right, Kat.
Yeah. So I will tell people actually you are facebook.com/super-Raelene-brothers.
If you just use the website name
super-Raelene-brothers.com,
you'll come through to that page.
Is it just .com or .com.au?
Just .com, yeah, super-Raelene-brothers.com, and that'll bring you through to that Facebook community page, yeah. The new album is going to be up on iTunes in the next week or two, but we'll have hard copies in Ballarat, and Nuclear Cop is available on iTunes too, so you can download that anytime.
And where do people find links? You don't seem to have any links to your iTunes on your Facebook.
By the end of the month, we'll have the website up for the Revolution Day album campaign properly in place. And
you will have links then to your iTunes as well as your Facebook and your YouTube.
Yeah, I'm hoping we will have all that.
And that was super-Raelene-brothers.com.
That's it, yeah.
And you will be at the Eastern Station in Ballarat this Saturday night, the 17th of May.
Saturday the 17th of May.
And so you are releasing the album Revolution Day later in the month?
We're officially releasing it in June, but we're doing this pre-launch in Ballarat. That's right.
And your music is really good to listen to, and it does have a conscience, but listening to it, I do think too that you're definitely a band that people want to see live.
Yeah.
Especially if they get to rattle their own.
Yeah, it's a good night of dancing. It's got a big beat. It's quick, and it's happy.
I look forward to getting to see you play.
Yeah.
And checking out the new album, Revolution Day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Is there anything that you would like to say to the Ballarat public or the public of Australia about the album or the shows you've got coming up?
The album is good, and the gig is good, and you will enjoy it, and it'll make you happy.
And it's a lot of fun, and you can get involved.
Yeah.
Awesome. I will try and catch up with you on Saturday.
Terrific. Thank you very much, Kat.
Thank you, and have a good night.
You too. All the best.
Thank you. Bye.